So you may have noticed in the last video where I was sanding down the dining room table, the drop leaf table, that the little part that drops down was missing its pieces of trim, its teak trim on the edge, the little banding that holds things on the table when you're heeled over. And I thought, as I was digging around some of the scrap pieces, and I came across these two here on the left. And this one here looked like, man, it'd be ready to go. All I've got to do is cut it to length, put a miter on the end, and it would be ready to attach, just like this piece over here has been done on the main part of that drop leaf table. Well, I noticed though on the back side of this piece it has a little bit of a rabbit edge. It's meant to go right as if I were going to attach it to that nice flat edge of the 1/2 inch teak plywood. But what I noticed as I got looking closer is that the edges have been, they've given the edge of the plywood a tongue. So if you look at this, there's been a tongue put into the edge of this plywood and a groove put into the edge of the trim so that it kind of sits up over top and caps that tongue with the groove that's in the teak trim. So I had to kind of drop this idea. This piece here wasn't enough. It's taller than the original, so I could have cut it down, but it still wasn't going to give me enough to give a good rabbet or a groove on this piece here, so I had to scrap this idea. But there was another full piece of teak, and I was able to take this to the table saw. First of all, create the groove inside of this to go over that tongue. And I worked with a scrap piece of plywood first to get my spacing, the depth, and everything just right, till I found, you know, the exact measurements that worked well with capping off that tongue. And then I did that with the piece of teak. So I ran my groove, or my groove first, and then I then ripped it down to the height that I needed, which in this case was just a hair more than 1 3/8 inches to be the same height. And then I held it up to this to get my profile. And now what I'm getting ready to do is to use my roundover bit and round out this trim so that it matches. After that, I'll put a miter on the edge, put it on there, mark the edges, and be able to cut it off flush on this end right here. So I've just taken the router and rounded over the edges of this new piece, and it's starting to come together. Now to do a little bit of sanding on this piece, and then do some mitering and cutting to length. Alright, I've got the piece sanded down now, and I'm doing a little fitting here. I'm going to get this snug in here, tap it with a hammer, and then I'll be able to mark its length. Alright, take this to the saw and give it a cut. And I've got a dry fit here now, and look pretty good. I think the miter's decent. It'll come together a little bit once it's glued and clamped. And I noticed this area right here is a lot flatter than this, so I'm going to take and just sand that section there, right there, a little bit flatter, just to match the profile of that. But all in all, I think that turned out pretty darn well. So just a little bit more cleaning out to do right here. Get it down to the actual tongue of the plywood. A little bit of the leftover broken piece is still on there. So this was all was still filled with the old piece, like that one. So I had to dig that out very carefully, scrape it, get it scraped down so that it's back to the original tongue size, so we can fit the new pieces. So this side I've got a little bit more clearing out to do, especially down near the miter. So a little bit more work to do, and then I'll fit that final piece. So tonight I'm working on getting these trim pieces that I milled the other night onto the portion of the drop leaf table that was missing it on the ends. If you take a look at the main part of the drop leaf table, it's got not only a piece of trim that runs along the long edge, but along the sides edges, and of course that's to keep anything from falling off the table while under sail. So because this is teak and possibly some mahogany, teak has a lot of natural oils in it, so what you do before you glue up the mating surfaces is to clean those edges with acetone. So I did that. Acetone evaporates very quickly and it kind of neutralizes or takes away those oils long enough for your glue to set up. So I got into the groove of this piece as well as along the plywood edge. Now this is my homemade bar clamp system. Not really. I need to start collecting bar clamps, but I don't have any yet. I've only got some small clamps. But what I've done in the meantime is to take the piece, and I'll bring it in here to where you can see the new piece that was milled and it's glued and in place. And as you can see, a stud bay actually makes a nice place to clamp things down. It's nice and straight. The piece lays flat against the backside of the sheetrock. And then you've also got things sitting nice and square. I built these walls myself, so I know they're square. And then what I've done is to take a piece of 2x and fit it between the studs, and then a couple of screws at some nice steep angles to draw it down and, as it were, clamp the piece on top until that glue sets. Once that's done, I'll take it out and I'll put the piece on the other end, raise that up a little bit, screw it down, clamp it, and then this piece of the table will be repaired. Then I can get to some finish. We're going to do probably a red mahogany stain on this, followed by several coats of spar varnish. So looking forward to that part, and get all these pieces fixed up, put back together, and then we'll be ready for finishing. Now next time we're going to start working on these stairs, and these are just the little hang-on stairs that go from the cockpit to the saloon. And at first glance they look like they're in decent shape, and the wood certainly is, but these are rather rickety, as you can see here as I wiggle it side to side. So I'll remove the little screw caps that are made with teak there on the side. I'll screw those out or drill those out and take this all apart. The lower rung of the ladder also needs the little teak tread strips milled and made for those like they are on the top, and the top ones are a little bit loose, so got a good bit of work to do even on just a little simple set of stairs. Last thing you want is for a set of stairs to fall apart as you're hopping up and down inside your boat. So we're going to get these things nice and tight and get them real sturdy. So that will be next time.